Hey there, everybody. Justin Chamness here, Real Estate Wholesalers Club, where we're all about helping you get to that next deal. Maybe it's that first deal, the first deal paycheck, the shut up money. The shut up money. Yes, that's right. That changes everything, absolutely everything. Today, not uncommon for Saturday edition of the Shut Up Money Show, we are coming to you today with a special treat. First of all, I want to say welcome to everybody. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being a part of Real Estate Wholesalers Club and the Shut Up Money Show. If you want to participate here with us today, you can. It's very easy to do. Come on in here in the Zoom room with us. How's that? Just come hang out with us for a little bit. I know it's awful early over there on the West Coast. Maybe you need some time to warm up to the world. It's okay. This is a good place to do it. I'm that way too, guys and gals. If you need to warm up to the world, hey, I get it. That's me. ZoomJustin.com. www.zoomjustin.com. That's how you get here in the Zoom room. That's how you join us for the Q&A today. If you want to come in and ask your questions, because today we have a real special treat for you. We have Mr. Burton Alicando. Burton Alicando from PropStream.
Yeah. What's going on, Justin? Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Hey, I'm glad that you're here, man. I love PropStream.
Well, we love you. I appreciate that.
Well, thank you, dude. I love PropStream because for a number of reasons. Let me brag about PropStream for a second. Number one, it is the most comprehensive real estate tool that I have ever seen in my entire life. Okay, and I have looked at a lot of tools. All right, so there is no comparison in my opinion. All right, so data, marketing, rehab valuators, list stacking. I mean, what all do you want to do? PropStream does it. Okay, so that's one reason why. Another reason why, just a little more lighthearted reason. I'm an affiliate with PropStream, okay, and I have been for a little bit. I use PropStream. I recommend to the students that come to the Real Estate Wholesalers Club and they ask, I say, hey, go ahead and sign up for PropStream because you're going to need it. Okay. But here's the thing about being an affiliate. Now, I don't know if they do this for everybody, but they do this for me. Real sweet. At Christmas time, every year, I get a little bag of goodies. Okay. This year, I got some jelly beans and I got this right here. Check this out, y'all. This is a computer bag. It says PropStream. It's embroidered on it. And I got a new computer. Of course, they didn't give me the computer, but you gave me a good excuse, Burton, to go get that computer. Oh, dude. Hey, I want to say a warm, heartfelt thank you, Burton, for everything that you do and everything PropStream does and for the sweet gifts and for being so professional at what you guys do. You are a company that is a joy to work with, man. Welcome, Burton Alicando from PropStream, everybody.
Thank you first and foremost. I mean, and those are some very powerful, kind words. So thank you, Justin. And I guess it goes both ways. We obviously have to thank you. Your experience in the field, like you mentioned, your experience with other platforms and other software. So just the fact that I've mentioned us to your students and you're promoting us, we can't thank you enough. So those gifts, it's just another way of saying thank you for what you do for us. So thank you so much, man. And again, thanks for having me here. I'm really, really excited to explain to everybody about what we can do, but really kind of dive into the whole data part. And especially with this year and some new things that are lined up with the new presidency, I think that understanding data and how it can be manipulated will be a very big, important thing today. So
dude,
thank
that's
you again.
huge. I'm so glad we're going to talk about that. I do want to say welcome to everybody that's in the group here too. And is it okay, Burton, if they ask you questions along the way?
Absolutely. As I'm going to be as transparent as possible, so ask away, and I'll let you know if it's something I can address. So
Yeah.
have at it.
Cool. Hey, did you get your hair cut, man?
Maybe this last week, yeah, but I tend to just kind of throw it back after I shower, and it just kind of does its thing throughout the day.
Dude, you're looking good, man. Looking good.
Thank you, man. I appreciate
So
that.
do you want to share screens with us and take us
I'd
over
love
to
to.
PropStream? You know, if I had one complaint about PropStream, it would be that it's so well developed, and I mean on a continuous basis, right? That the little changes sometimes throw me off a little. You know, like for example, we found one the other day that threw me off. We were in a VIP. Does anybody remember what that was? Just it was a little tiny thing. It was like a new thing that was added, and I didn't know it was there. So, do you guys? First question, Burton. Do you guys send out an email to the subscribers that let them know little developmental changes? Am I not on that
Um,
list? Because I might not be.
Yay and nay. It depends on the update. Depending on how important we believe the update is, and if that's the case, then we will do an email marketing. But typically, no. In most scenarios, if it's an update, a minor one, you'll see it on our "What's New" pop up at the very beginning. Now,
Oh, that's right. I
unfortunately,
always click right
um,
through, dude.
no worries. Sometimes though, and to your point, maybe a little bit on us, we sometimes move really fast with updates that we don't even allow our marketing team to catch up sometimes. So they're not able to update that "What's New" pop up, and before you know it, there's a new filter in there that shows up the next morning that you're logging in, and we haven't informed you about it. So there are some aspects of it where we could do better on the "What's New" pop up, but again, we're so excited we just keep with the enhancements that sometimes we just kind of send a quick email to the marketing team that we're about to just launch a new filter. So it's a little on our fault, but yeah, typically the "What's New" pop up and emails every so often, if it's a really, really huge update or something we believe is going to be beneficial to everybody across the board. But we really don't like to bombard anybody on email. I mean, I personally don't like it.
Yeah,
So we
yeah.
figure our
I'll
customers
stop
probably won't
clicking
like it
through
either.
the
Yeah,
through
I'm
the
the same
warning.
way. I'm just like mark red, mark red, mark red, even though I've never read them. So
Right. All right. So, I want you to take us into PropStream and give us a little. Can you give us some gold nuggets? Now, I don't really have a format or for the show at all in general. We're
yeah,
pretty open here. So, what I want to ask is this year I believe that we should focus on failed listings. I think we should focus on the lien section, properties that have liens, almost failed listings too. Um, so can you take us into PropStream and show us some cool what you think is going to be some hot things to be looking into in PropStream this year? You were talking about
absolutely.
2021.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and dive into that. So let me bring up PropStream, and before I go into it and show you, I know some of the users here or viewers here are very, very new to PropStream. So just to break down a quick outline of what PropStream can do, but as Justin mentioned, we're going to be focusing on the build a list part here today. But just a quick recap of what our system can do. It's a two-part system. First stage is lead generation. We broke that up into three phases. Phase one is just go and build your list. So you search, you can filter through our 18 categories or technically build your own list, save that marketing list, and export our data. That includes the owner's information, mailing address, property address, characteristics, mortgage information, etc. Now, because everybody has one of these nowadays, we've included part two, which is getting contact information, AKA skip tracing. So you can take your list that you just built of buyers or motivated sellers and then get their contact information within 15 minutes or less. So you'll be provided a landline, a cell phone, or an email. And at that point, you can export it. And here's why it's very important.
Burton, I hate to stop you, but man,
Yeah,
what's the price on that skip trace? Because it
good
used to
question.
what didn't it used to be 30, 40 cents or something, and then it's
Actually, let's bring up the old pricing. I like doing this to see that how much we're aggressive at helping everybody. But
yeah.
to Justin's point, this is our skip tracing price in November of 2020. So if you just did one phone number, it was 25 cents. If you did one email, it was 25 cents. If you did both phone number and email, it was 30 cents. Now, granted, in November, if you got the result, it was 20 cents. If you skip trace an address and we didn't get anything, we wouldn't charge you. So we were at least playing it fair. But as you can see, it was tiered. And for someone like Justin doing 5,000 records at once, he was getting it at 14 cents for a phone number, 14 cents for an email, or 16 cents for both the phone number and email. That's assuming that we got the results for it.
And this
Well,
is credit. This is credit. What say? How you say it again, Burton?
the
The
tier pricing.
the credit reporting quality. Credit.
Yeah, so a little bit about skip tracing. We work with multiple providers, and it's a multi-layered skip tracing service. So we grab every record that we possibly can, all the recent one from one provider and all of our other providers. And so some of our providers, as Justin was mentioning, well, I would say most of them actually, if not all of them, are collecting properties from credit bureau-like information. So I can't guarantee because I don't really know their operation, but most of the data are coming from like credit card loans, mortgage loan applications, magazine renewals, insurance renewals, the more aggressive applications that are out there. And most of them, as Justin mentioned, are typically being sent to the credit bureaus.
Okay, so it's good quality information, but this is the old prices, right?
Correct. Yeah. So this is what we had from like 2017 when we released the skip tracing up until this last November. And we decided, you know what? We've obviously worked with these providers for a long time. We get a lot of people placing orders. We have a little pool now. So we took advantage of that little pool that we had. And we decided that after negotiating, we were able to now get you 12 cents flat, just 12 cents flat, meaning if you do
Crazy.
one address or 10 address or
Ooh.
15 addresses, it's 12 cents and we'll give you both the phone number and the email for that 12 cents. So
Ooh.
very,
Wow.
very affordable. As you can see, 12 cents still beats out what the 14 cents we
Oh yeah.
had for someone doing 5,000 or more. But here's the kicker too. If you have List Automator, which is an updated application of it's an upgrade to PropStream, we'll give you your skip tracing for 10 cents instead. Now, for those who are wondering, what is skip trace or List Automator? It's a feature that lets you import into PropStream and get our data. So if you have a 10-year-old list, you want to update it, List Automator is your best friend. If you have a different provider's list, but they're lacking MLS data, they're lacking vacant data, bring it on over, we'll give you our data. But the ultimate reason List Automator was created is to take a list and automate it, meaning once you build a list with a certain filter, List Automator can automatically add and remove properties that no longer meet your criteria going forward. So you never have to do the search again, and we'll tell you when properties don't meet your criteria anymore, so you can
Great.
delete them and not market to them. So great question.
Yeah,
Huge pricing, just a great way
it
to
is.
kick off the new year going
That's a
forward. So
huge. That's a huge reduction.
I think it is. And
Yeah.
again, we're talking multi-layer providers. So it's not just one provider. We're dealing with the top 5 providers. I can't name names because of the non-disclosure agreement that we have, but I'm very sure most of you guys know who they are. But with that said, we're going to give you the contact information within about 15 minutes or less, and then you can export that information. That's why we call it phase 2, because we understand that some of you guys just need the data and the phone numbers. You got your VA to do the cold calling. You got your dialers to upload it to and do the phone calls. But some of you guys don't have that stuff, unfortunately, or fortunately, maybe it's a good thing. Phase 3 is your best friend. You can build your list of sellers and buyers, get their contact information in about 15 minutes or less, and then directly market to that same list. And when you market to that list, we'll give you a free website for your audience. So if you have an auction list, then you're going to get a website, and you can craft that website to say, hey, I can help you with your auction. And after you craft that website for that list, you then will be able to send them either a postcard, a ringless voicemail, or an email, or all 3, really up to you. Now, you can repeat this process multiple times, right? You build your auctions list, skip trace it, create a website for them, send them a few postcards. Then your next list is your cash buyers list. You build that list, skip trace that, and then you create another marketing list for that, right? So the concept of lead generation is continuous. We know that there's tons of leads out
Right.
there, so feel free to take this process over and over. Now, inevitably, whether you're doing this in PropStream or through a different platform, it should lead into stage 2. Phone call, hey, got your postcard. I'm interested in selling my house. What do you have to offer? So that's when you can analyze the property. You can search the address or click on the parcel, find the opportunities. Now, I put an asterisk here because sometimes an opportunity is obvious, like a pre-foreclosure that's on the property, or a bankruptcy recorded, or a lien recorded. Sometimes the opportunities aren't so obvious. Some examples would be like property characteristics. Maybe the property is built in 1950. Maybe they have 2 mortgages. Maybe they're in a different state. Maybe they're in a 5-bedroom property and they've owned it for 25 years. What are you doing with 5 bedrooms, right? Things like that is what I call opportunity, because being in this industry for 8 years and helping investors with data for 8 years, hearing their stories, I know for a fact there are people out there that will sell a property and they're not even on a pre-foreclosure list. They're not even on a vacant list. So that's what I call finding opportunities, is looking at the data that we've collected from multiple sources on that one page called property details. And then as you're talking to the owner, using those details to find that pain, right? Is it the bedrooms? Is it the fact that they're in a different state, et cetera? Now,
Yeah.
inevitably, they're going to, hopefully, if you do your job really well, you're building that rapport, we're going to get to the conversation part of where they're going to ask for an offer, right? What is it that you're offering me? And so obviously we're looking to get properties at 70% or 60% or half price or even 10% at market value. But in order to know what that percentage is going to be, in order to know what 70% is, you have to know what the 100% is. And in order to do
Right.
that, you have to run comps.
Exactly.
Running comps using public records or MLS records will let you calculate what the after repair value potentially could be. And once you have that after repair value, then you can calculate your 70% rule. And by the way, that report can be printed out. That way you can have it when you're talking to the owner, show them the pictures of the comps, let them know why you're giving them 70% and why you can't give them full price, AKA use the photos to help you. And then B, this is also a good report for your investor buyers. Once you lock up the purchase agreement, it's going to be hard to try to justify your ARV. Sometimes these buyers don't believe you. They'll call their realtors and try to contradict your ARV. But by providing them all the public records, MLS records on this Excel sheet or this printout sheet, you pretty much leave it on their table. You've done your due diligence. Now it's for them to decide whether your contract is worth it or not. So that's what we can do. And then again, some additional features, team member, list automator, and the mobile app. So just want to chime you guys in, quick recap of what we can do. But our main
Yeah.
focus today is building a list. Go ahead, Justin.
Uh, Build a list, phase 1. Phase 2, skip trace. And then phase 3 was the marketing. Building a list. Give us some gold nuggets. And then I want to talk a little bit about the list automator and how people think when they use the phrase list stacking.
Yeah.
Because there's a couple different 2 or 3 ways that people kind of use that phrase.
Correct.
Can you show us how you recommend we work that list automation and stacking
Yeah.
concepts and stuff with PropStream?
Absolutely.
Appreciate it, man.
Oh, no problem. And I like that you asked. So I have another chart here. So list stacking. That one is a little tricky in a sense because of the fact that, as you said, Justin, there's 2 definitions of list stacking that I've been able to extract. So one form of list stacking that people out there will consider is when you're taking 2 sets of list types, right? A bankruptcy list and a failed listing from your agents, and stacking them together to find that property that's in both categories, right? That's called list stacking to some individuals. The other version of list stacking is I've already created a marketing list with 1,000 properties, but I also have these other marketing lists with other properties. Which address is in multiple marketing lists, right? So those are the 2 versions of list stacking. It's while building the list. So I'm looking to build my motivated seller. So let's stack multiple criterias, list stacking. And then the other concept is I've saved multiple lists already. Which property is in more than one list? So I'm going to show you both. Okay. Now, before we get into the actual list stacking, building a list and stacking, I wanted to show you guys this graph. Over the course of my years with PropStream and talking to investors, I've always been asked, hey, what are the best lists? As if there's a golden list. And unfortunately, there isn't. But if we were to take the list types that are provided out there and put them on a motivation chart, this is my motivation chart I had to create. This is how I've perceived what these list motivation equivalencies are, right? So
Yeah.
first off, what we're looking at here is the homeowner motivation chart, the person you're about to talk to, okay? Now, a homeowner, in my personal opinion, is in 3 phases of their home ownership. They're either good, aka leave me alone, you're not going to get a discount. I may consider what you have to say, but I'm not interested at this very moment. And then I need your help. I'm in a dire situation. I don't think I can get out of it. We need to move fast, so please help me, right? This is the homeowner motivation chart I have to coin. So based on just using a list, right? We're not using theoretical situations. We're just using the lists that are typically provided at the public offices, right? This is how I would categorize them. So here are just a few categories that we have. So for our cash buyer lists, our high equity properties, our properties free and clear, they've paid their mortgage out after 30 years. And for flippers like Justin, I would put them in a good position. Because if Justin bought a property in cash for $100,000 and I call Justin next week and I say, Justin, I'm a wholesaler. I want to buy that property for 60%. What do you think Justin's going to do? Hang up that phone right away.
Right.
Same with the high equity property, same with the free and clear, same with someone flipping properties. They're going to think you're crazy because they just bought it at a discount. They're not going to give you a discount property at a discount unless there's a reason to, right? But in most scenarios, I would say 9 out of 10, they're not going to give you a discount. That's why there's really no discounts here. If you do get something, it's probably going to move very slow. And clearly there's no competition because no one's looking for motivated sellers here. But a lot of people come into this industry and they're taught you got to go find motivation. And I think the problem is that they go straight into the high category first. So they look for pre-foreclosures and auctions, and in some states, the redemption states, you can work with foreclosures. Now, the reason why they're taught that is because everyone knows this is the most motivated list, right? If you want instant results, I wouldn't say instant, but if you want a quicker response rate, this would be your list. But here's the caveat to that, right? When you're dealing with a need help category, everybody knows they're the highest motivation. And that's why these three categories tend to have, well, you're going to get big discounts, that's for sure, because homeowners are in a dire situation. And as they say, beggars can't be choosers. You are going to get a faster closing on here because you're technically racing against the auction date, right? So we got to get this thing closed fast. And unfortunately, it's very competitive. Every investor in the market knows that person in pre-foreclosure is willing to give them a discount, is willing to close it fast. And it's a great deal for everybody. Get an assignment fee or a property at a discount to fix it and get that good return on investment, right? But what people have forgotten is that no one wakes up from good and goes into need help overnight. There's the the smoke that turns into the fire. So think of it this way. We're all firefighters, right?
Yeah.
Our job is to put out fires. So I think most of us are just waiting around for the fire. Unfortunately, some clever ones are out there looking for the smoke. So this is the smoke. These are your bankruptcy records, your divorce records, your vacant records, your tired landlords, your liens, your failed listings, and your tax delinquency. Now, the reason why I say they're is put them compared to pre-foreclosure. They're not in the higher motivation. That's why you can see here, when you're dealing with these categories, be patient, right? You're going to first follow up. They're probably going to cuss you out because they think they're going to solve it on their own, right? The reality hasn't set in for them, right? Second follow-up, they probably still going to be stubborn. Third follow-up, they probably know your name by now. They're a little bit more polite. Fourth follow-up, maybe the notices of defaults are starting to come in, warning them they got 30 days to resolve that lien or divorce or whatever it may be. And this is where you potentially can lock up the contract. Now, if the event that you've been calling for 4 months and they still ignore you and they do happen to go into pre-foreclosure, you know what probably will happen? Everybody else is going to start calling them too. And now that homeowner is going to have to make a decision. Do I lean on the person that's been trying to help me for 4 months and I know their name and I'm more comfortable with them? Or do I lean towards the 10, 20, 50 people that are calling me all of a sudden thinking they can help me, right? And so this is why you're challenged in these categories, competitive, and you got the homeowner that's always on the fence because 15 people have tried to call them as well, telling them that they can do it and nobody else can do it, right? So if it clicks now, I hope this whole makes sense. So what I'm going to show you using this chart is the list stacking, taking two categories and stacking it. So let's use
screenshot that, everybody. Screenshot that. This is some great training, Burton.
Oh, you're welcome, man. Yeah, I actually have this on in my office. I actually have it on the wall. So, and I actually encourage you to print this out, put it on your wall, and use it as kind of a guidance tool of motivation, right? Now, let's stick with the need help. So list stacking, the first one, taking two list types and putting it together. So let's say I'm in a market and I want to invest in pre-foreclosure. Justin, throw out a county for me and I'll use that county.
Escambia County, Florida.
Escambia County, Florida. There you go. All right, so we're in Escambia County, Florida, right? If we were going off this chart right now, what are my 3 highest categories? It would be these 3 right here. It would be the pre-foreclosure, auctions, and if this is a redemption state, Google redemption state. But what redemption state means is that when a property goes into foreclosure, when the bank takes possession, these states, they have to hold on to that property for an X amount of time. And that homeowner still has the ability to get it back from the bank, even after the auction, which is amazing. We don't have that in California. Once your auction is done and the bank owns it, the bank can literally sell it the next week. So in these redemption states, working on foreclosures could still be lucrative. But again, based on that chart, these are your most highest motivation. So let's go there, right? So we chose a list. Now we want to stack, right? We're looking for not just a pre-foreclosure, we want one at the highest level of motivation that we can find. So we have other categories here. So for example, I can take that pre-foreclosure and increase that motivation by looking for a pre-foreclosure with a bankruptcy. So to do that, I would click on pre-foreclosure, go into the filter and apply the simple stuff that I like, right? Like go into property characteristics, make sure it's a single family property.
Sure.
Go into the MLS, make sure it's off market, to traditional criteria. And then we would go into the ownership info, look for certain years of ownership or a type of owner. We can even go into the pre-foreclosure filters and look for certain recording date, certain opening bid amount. But here's the list stacking part. We have other categories like the lien, bankruptcy, and divorce status. So not only am I looking for a pre-foreclosure, but what I'm looking for is a pre-foreclosure that also has an active bankruptcy, right? So what we did is we went through the 564 pre-foreclosures, added that bankruptcy, which essentially is telling me, hey, you owe the bank money and you filed for bankruptcy, which means there's probably no income coming in right now, right? So there's a probability that you 16 individuals are more in a stressful situation than these other 540 odd numbers, right? Because the other 540, they are in pre-foreclosure, but they're not in a pre-foreclosure with no income coming in, right? So here, again, AKA is one level of list stacking, is taking 2 categories, and I took pre-foreclosure and the bankruptcy category, and I stacked it to find not just any pre-foreclosure, but the 16 that are in a high motivated category. So when you call, they're probably like, thank you so much for calling. I didn't even know we can sell it privately. I didn't know we can do a lease option. I didn't know we can do a sub 2. I didn't know you can buy my house in cash. A lot of the times people in pre-foreclosure don't know what you know. So take advantage of that, right? So that's list stacking. And again, it could have been a bankruptcy. Justin mentioned earlier, I thought that was clever. Instead of a bankruptcy, right, let's remove that. What about a pre-foreclosure that's off market, but it failed recently? So they decided to go with the agent instead of the investor, and it didn't sell. So it's a pre-foreclosure that has a failed listing, and it failed maybe in the last 90 days or so. So we have 3 properties in Escambia County, Florida right now that are currently in pre-foreclosure. And in the last 90 days, the agent had to tell them, sorry, we can't sell the property on market.
Wow.
So they're probably up against the fence like, man, what are my only options?
They got nowhere to turn.
Exactly. And so this is, again, AKA list stacking, taking one category and adding something to it. So either a bankruptcy or, as I did, a failed listing. But here's the thing. As much as list stacking is also important, before I get into the other form of list stacking, I want you guys to also remember this terminology, list suppression, okay? It's as important as list stacking. So let's say in this scenario, Justin is the #1 pre-foreclosure investor in his market, right, in Escambia. And I can never beat him, right? And he probably is. And so I can never beat him. Every time I call pre-foreclosure, these homeowners are like, oh, Justin already got me on contract. Really? Okay. So Justin is dominating the industry here. Does that mean I'm out of luck? No, it does not mean out of luck. I just have to be a little bit more cunning. So list stacking is important, but list suppression is equally as important. So if Justin is in the need help category and he's dominating the pre-foreclosure auction and foreclosure industry, then I need to edge him out. And remember, I said, people don't go from good to need help overnight. There's usually a smoke that's indicating a fire is about to start. And that's the uh-oh category. So let's talk about list suppression. So if I know that in Escambia County, Justin is marketing to all these pre-foreclosures, all these auctions, all these bank-owned properties, I need to edge them out.
Have you guys
So
figured out how many different possible combinations there are?
no, we haven't, and we're still trying to figure out like what that is. And I'll explain why in a few moments. Why the combination could be endless.
Yeah.
So because Justin's in the pre-foreclosure and I have to beat him out, remember, I know the uh-oh categories. I know that a lien, if not paid, will turn into pre-foreclosure. I know if that divorce is ugly and you guys don't start paying your payments, it's going to start going into pre-foreclosure. That bankruptcy can turn into pre-foreclosure. That failed listing can turn into pre-foreclosure, right? So while Justin's over there, I need to edge him out. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to Escambia County, Florida, go into the filter. The first step I'm going to do, make sure I don't have a list selected yet, is go into the pre-foreclosure area and exclude all of those records from my results. I don't want to see them because Justin's already working on them, right? So remove all pre-foreclosures, auctions, and foreclosures from my results. So what I'm doing here is I'm literally blocking out this whole section. I'm not even working on it. Rather, now that I don't have pre-foreclosures and auctions in my list, I'm now going to focus on the uh-oh category. So let's look for that lien now. So now I can look for a lien. So there are 4,700 properties with a lien right now that are not yet in pre-foreclosure. And so my goal is I can work with these guys. And here, all I have to know is that, yeah, Justin's doing a great thing with pre-foreclosure. And yes, Justin and his team are able to close deals in 30 days because they're in a very dire situation. Fair enough. But I'm a patient guy. And I know in every selling industry, whether you're selling houses, cars, or video games, or makeup, jewelry, your clientele, 60% of them are all about follow-up. No one's going to sell their house on the first phone call. Sometimes it happens, but that's what we call the unicorn deals, right? In this industry, I would say 60 to 70%, 80%, if not, are through follow-up, where you're calling, introducing yourself. They say no. You're calling the next time, maybe offering them websites to help them with their situation, like how to resolve that lien, who to call to make payments on it. Third follow-up, they maybe thank you, but they still tell you it's still out of their hands. Fourth follow-up, hey, you know what, Burton, thanks for following up for the last 3 months. We're not able to handle the situation. Let's go ahead and go with that cash offer. So Justin's now scratching head, wondering, hey, why is Burton getting all these deals? Where is he getting these deals from? And that's because I'm edging him out. So I don't mind spending 6 months on these deals because Justin's not going to see them because they're never going to go into pre-foreclosure. And if they do go into pre-foreclosure, Justin and his team are going to call, and the owner is going to say, you know what? I'd rather speak with Burton. Who's Burton? Oh, he's been working with me for the past 6 months. And so that's, again, I'm turning the tables on these individuals by working ahead of time. So list suppression is as important. To remove the liens, the foreclosures, but look for liens is great. But you can also stack in the same area, right? So I'm looking for liens not in pre-foreclosure, but that doesn't mean I can't look for a lien with a failed listing, a lien with a bankruptcy. So I can do that just like we did earlier. I want a lien that is off market because it failed in the last 90 days. So think about that. There are 10 properties not in pre-foreclosure yet, but they have a lien and they try to sell it, which means that they're reacting to something. They're reacting to maybe that $10,000 lien that they can't pay off. Wow. So they thought, hey, let me just sell it to an agent, but that agent couldn't sell it. So what do you think the next step is going to be? Pre-foreclosure, but they're not there yet. So that's the important part about that. Okay, so I want you guys to focus on this. This is the list stacking. Now, before I get to the list automator and the other version of list stacking, what makes PropStream unique is the data and the ability to manipulate the data. And Justin, here's why I couldn't answer your question on like how many combinations we can make. I would be able to answer your question if we forced you to choose a list. We have 18 categories, right? So if we forced you to choose the list, then in theory, you can do the math 18 times 17 times 6. You can find out ultimately by multiplying every number what the ultimate combination could be. But that cannot be done because as you see here, we're not forcing you to choose a list. And this leads me to my point. In the last 8 years, I've worked with investors. I've come to understand one thing. Everybody's looking for the same thing. You know what that is? A problem.
Love.
not a list, a problem. Okay. So whether you're a wholesaler, a fix and flipper, a lender, an agent, a contractor, you do general contracting. I mean, whatever it is, you're looking for a problem, right? Now, unfortunately, I think we were kind of clouded by the fact that a problem is a list. And that's not necessarily the case. Now, some of these problems, like our chart is showing, are very obvious problems, right? But some of these problems are so subtle, they're not on any of these categories. Let me show you why we didn't choose a list, right? So while Justin and team are doing pre-foreclosures and let's say liens and all the categories that you can possibly imagine,
there's some crazy, awesome categories too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What I can do is I can come up with a whole different problem. So here's my 3 golden rules if you guys want to write it down. I've discovered that everybody is looking for 3 things, right? These are what I call the investment golden rules. The first rule, it's off market. 9 out of 10 times we're looking for off market properties. Now, granted, I know some of you guys are willing to look for on market properties. So you're that 1 out of 10, right? But 9 out of 10 of us are always looking for off market properties. So the first golden rule has always been on market. No, right? I don't care who you are, but most of us are looking for off market properties. You know what the second golden rule is? Equity. Now, I say that with an asterisk. Most real estate strategies, wholesaling, fixing, flipping, lease options, subject to, well, not really lease options subject to, we'll take those back out. But most investment strategies require equity, right? If I'm an agent, I'd like for the homeowner to have equity so they don't have to bring money to the table when they sell their property. If I'm a wholesaler, I need equity. I need an assignment fee. If I'm a fix and flipper, I need equity because when I buy that property and sell it, I need to make profit on that equity, right? Yeah. So most of the time, second golden rule, it's equity. Now, again, I say this with an asterisk because the more you know, the more you educate yourself on that creative seller finding stuff. One book I would recommend is the Bigger Pockets, the book on investing in real estate with no or little money. So if you have that, get it. But that book shows you or introduces you to a bunch of creator real estate strategy out there. But in that sense, if you do sub 2s and lease options, then you probably don't need equity. Rather, you'll use our loan to value ratio filter. But as you can see, the second criteria is it has to do with the equity, whether high or low. That's still the second rule, right? So first rule, off market. Second rule, I want 30% in equity or more. Or if I apply sub 2s, then I want an upside down property. I want something that's 110% to 100 to 110% on loan to value ratio, meaning these properties have negative equity. These would be sub 2 candidates, right?
What's the name of that book again, Burton?
It's called it's from Bigger Pockets.
We got shiny object syndrome, man. So
Brandon Turner. It's called The Book on Investing in Real Estate with No and Low Money Down.
Okay.
So it's not going to explain how to implement the strategy, but it will expose you to most of the strategies that are implemented in the real.
That's cool.
World. So
okay,
that's definitely a book I would encourage you guys to do.
Great.
But as you see here, whether you're doing that creative seller financing stuff or you're doing the wholesale and fixing and flipping, equity is still the second rule, whether it's high or low. That way we can implement that certain strategy. But you know what the third golden rule is? Motivation.
Right.
Always going to be motivation. But this is where we got lost. What ended up happening is that after we applied our golden rules, our off market, and let's say 30% to 90% in equity, right? Or 100%. What ended up unfolding over the course of years is that we unfortunately got confused on what motivation is. I think what happened is we got kind of stagnant and we decided that motivation was a list, right? It was one of these guys. That's why I said, hey, based on motivation on list type, this is what it is. But I'm hesitant to say that because I've discovered and I've heard from investors like yourself that people will sell property that are not in this list. So let's have some fun. Let me give you an example. So I was talking to a realtor and she called her search the double listing search. I was like, what the heck is that? She's like, oh yeah, we'd find these properties and we would be able to list them twice in a year. I'm like, what? How are you doing that? She's like, oh, here's my category. I look for off-market properties with equity that are single family, that are 3 bedrooms with 1 bathroom max. That's it. And they're owned by individuals. That's her list. She didn't choose a vacant list. She didn't choose a lien list. She didn't choose a pre-fork. Her list was, I'm going to go hunt down everybody with 1 bathroom and 3 bedrooms. because the problem here is 3 people are sharing one bathroom. I wouldn't want to do that. So the reason she called it the double listing search is that she would call the homeowners and say, hey, have you guys considered upgrading? And not everybody was going to say yeah, but some of them would say, yeah, we never thought about it. Well, I'm an agent. We can list your property for you. So hopefully they would agree to that, and they would list their 3-bedroom and 1-bathroom property. She would then obviously, sell the property for them. But guess who she's selling the property to? Her investor buyers. So every time she called one of these homeowners and got them to sell a 3-1, she took that listing and went to one of her buyers and said, hey, I have a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom property on market now.
Right. Add a second bathroom to it.
And what do you think they're going to do in 3 months after they rehab that property? Who do you think is going to list that rehab property for them?
The same realtor.
Exactly. That's why she called it the double listing. And I was like, boom, that just genius.
Oh yeah.
Genius. And that's why I couldn't answer Justin's question on, how many potential combinations can be made, is because remember, this industry is about solving problems, not solving a list. It's about solving a problem. And so you have to kind of look at our filters, or anybody else's filters for that matter. So if you're going to take anything from me today, even if you're not using PropStream, is start looking at everybody's filters as, how can I create a problem? How can I reverse engineer and create a problem? And I mentioned earlier, the reason why I want you to start looking that way is I've discovered in 8 years that our industry is a pendulum that swings left and right, right? In 2019, the most commonly sought lists were pre-foreclosures and auctions. March 2020, that list struggled because now you had people that are on furlough, right? So they don't have to pay, or their eviction, or I'm sorry, they couldn't get eviction. And not only that, their auctions were delayed. So if you had an auction in April of last year, it was pushed back to like October or November. Sometimes, in some markets, they're still being pushed back, right? So what ended up happening last year is everybody that was doing pre-foreclosures and auctions and bank owned were all of a sudden talking to people that weren't as motivated, right? They were saying no, just a little bit longer, right? But we all understand there's always 2 sides to the coin, right? So in March 2020, when pre-foreclosures and auctions and bank owns got extended indirectly, benefited from that, they were saying no to you. But who's on the other side of the stick? You know who's on the other side of the stick? And I found out who it was because I saw a lender client of ours start searching for it. The people that were on the other side of the stick were the non-owner occupied properties, the rental properties with tenants. So it's non-owner occupied and it's occupied. And those properties were owned by individuals with mortgages, 1 or 2 mortgages. So what this lender was looking for, because he knew everybody in pre-foreclosure and auctions were going to say no now, he was looking for the people that were renting to them, right? So I want a rental property that's occupied, owned by a person like Justin, myself, but that person is renting that property with a mortgage. Here's the problem with that. In 2019, this would not have been a motivated list. These are all passive income investors, right? You got a mortgage for $1,500, you're renting your property for $2,000, you're pocketing that $500 passive income. Great, I'm gonna leave you alone. But in March of 2020, when 40 million people filed for unemployment, that could have been your tenant. And if it was your tenant, and your tenant said, hey, I can't pay your rent on April 1st, and this homeowner's like, well, you're gonna get evicted. But then the federal government said, nope, you can't evict anybody. So now these 11,000 people for the last year have been biting their tooth and nail because they're hoping that the rent is going to get paid. Now, some of them have, till this very day, probably have been sitting for the last year without getting paid yet, right? So there's probably someone, I'm not saying everybody, I'm just saying in this group of 11,000 people that are renting properties with a mortgage, there is one of their tenants that hasn't been paying rents for months. And I brought up President-elect Biden earlier because what was one of his executive orders? To extend evictions. So this is going to be a big list because of that, right? The evictions extending evictions is going to help the renter or the renters, but it's not going to help people that are renting with mortgages.
Right.
So this is why we decided a few years ago, we can't force you to choose a list anymore, because the moment you do, you're going to be limited. You're not going to find those individuals. Or if you do, you got to find the landlords that are renting with the mortgages that also have a lien, and that just limits you from 11,000 possibilities to 95 because you're looking for 95 that are also on a piece of paper,
Or
right?
the owner is out of state. That might be
Boom.
a good
That's a
one.
big one
Yeah.
right here. Out ownership, out of state. There you go. 3,900
Wow.
properties
Holy
renting,
cow.
and the owners are in a different state
Yeah.
with a mortgage. That's just I don't even want to fathom the anxiety that these guys are facing every month, hoping that rent gets the direct deposit or they get that check in the mail.
And
Because
that's
if they
interesting.
don't, what do? Do you fly to Escambia, Florida and say, hey, where's my rent? No, because that means I'm now wasting an airplane ticket to get to Florida just for me to check up on my property and them say, oh, you're here. Yeah, I don't have the rent. So I just spent money to fly to you just for you to say no in my face. And another thing too, to note, I've been hearing some of these out-of-state owners are calling their tenants and the tenants have their phone numbers disconnected or they're not answering anymore.
Yeah.
So you have a property in a different state and your tenant's not answering your phone anymore.
Yeah.
And traveling right now is, you know what I mean? Especially with this pandemic.
Yeah.
So
That's
big.
motivation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to, at the end of the day, hope you guys get anything out of this, is build problems. Go into a county.
Wow.
Yeah, go ahead and start with these categories, but start building problems. And eventually it gets fun. I mean, you can build problems on your own, or you can take some of these categories and build problems with it. Like I've been seeing people do senior owners as a list.
That's pretty new, right, Burton?
That's new. Yeah, very new. And we've been able to do that because we collect ownership info, tax exemption, senior citizen tax exemption, and we don't show it, but we do have mortgage data. So we know which properties have a reverse mortgage on them. So that's what this list is. But once you start with this list,
well, I wish I'd have had PropStream when I was in the insurance business working with the Medicare market. Over 65 market, man. This would have been so handy.
Oh my God. And that's what I'm telling you. Because we're real estate data, I've talked to insurance companies that use PropStream, contractors that use us, lenders that use us. But the ultimate idea is that, after talking to everybody, no one's looking for the same thing. No one's implementing the same strategy, but eerily, they're all looking for something similar, off market, some sort of equity, high or low, and motivation. And so that's my philosophy, is build problems. And then you can do things like, hey, I want a senior owner, not just as senior owner, but the problem today is that they're in a 2-story building going up and down, up and down, up and down, right? Like that could be tedious. So I'm looking to identify senior owners in a 2-story building. Or not only that, maybe a senior owner, like Justin mentioned, that's in a different state, because right now they're the highest risk due to this pandemic. Nobody's traveling. So to just call the owner and say, hey, your property off Pelham Road, what are you looking to do with that, John?
That looks like a deal right there.
It looks like it.
I mean, look at that crapper.
And it looks like it was on market, just sold recently. So it looks like someone bought it. Yeah, someone just bought it in cashless.
There you go. It was a deal.
Yeah, it was a deal for somebody. Exactly.
You gotta get it.
With the ARV, most comps in the area are about 90. So yeah, that's a pretty good deal. But as you can see, someone in July of last year sought that opportunity. They said, hey, you know what? Maybe we should look for out-of-state landlords or out-of-state senior owners. Yeah. And that individual was able to score it, 4 months after the pandemic started? Yeah. So this is building problems. And this is, again, list stacking, list suppression, and building your own problems. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Now let's get to List Automator.
This reminds me of finding the remote control. Right. You ever lose the remote control and you're looking all around, you're turning over the couch cushions and everything, and then it's sitting right in front of you the whole time? Like these things are right there in front of you, but you overthink them and you overlook them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And so I hope that if anything, you guys saw some light today with the data manipulation part. But here's why we created List Automator. So we know you're going to do these filters. You're going to look for that senior owner that has a single family property, and he's an individual in a different state, right? You have your filters. Everybody has their own filters. So what we decided to do is that when you search a market and build your lists and save those properties, so I'm going to check out these 315 and save it. I'll call it Justin's senior owners list.
There you go.
The thing about data is the moment you buy a list from us or anybody, that list is static. right? Because let's take off computers, right? We go to the county. Hey, clerk, I'd like to get your pre-foreclosure list. Well, here's 315 properties. Okay, we're going to run back home with that list. The next morning, 5 of those properties could call an agent, and we're not going to know because it's a piece of paper. It's not updating, right? That piece of paper is not going to say, hey, remove us 5. It doesn't do that. The only way for us to know is we would have to go back to the county the same day or the next day and ask for the new list. And we would discover, oh, there's 5 less today, right? So we don't do that because it's not cost effective. It's not time effective. And that's what we call the churn and burn behavior. This is what everybody's been doing for a long time, okay? They would go to a source, get the 500 pre-foreclosures. Let's say this is January 1st.
Yeah.
Get the pre-foreclosures on January 1st. And then what we would do is then start marketing to those 500 properties for a certain amount of time. Now, everybody has a different time limit, right?
Right.
So they say on average 6 waves of marketing. That could be anywhere from 3 to 4 weeks to sometimes 3 to 4 months, right? So the issue is you build a list on January 1st and you send the 500 postcards in January, 500 postcards in February, 500 postcards in March, 500 postcards in April. And then you say, wow, this list is really old now. Let's go ahead and dump it, right? Churn and burn. You set it aside. And what you do is you go back to the source and you build the same lists with the same filters. And what you believe are new records are in fact 60% of them the same records from your first list, right? So you're repaying for the same list. What we decided to do is put an end to that. When you search a market and build whatever filter it is and save that list, we're going to send it into your My Properties page. And once we do, when you click on your list or click on any list for that matter, you're going to be able to click on View List Filters here on the far right and see what the filters were when you performed that list, right? So we can see what we did here. If I clicked on my Senior San Diego list, I can see the filters I had. Now, this is important for 2 reasons. To remind myself what the filters are, because I always forget, right? So it's good for me to remind myself what these 17 filters are. But the reason we did that, not to remind you, but for this feature right here, to automate it. Now that we know that you search in Escambia, Florida, and you wanted senior owners out of state, off market, well, let us just take care of that list for you. List Automator will now, going forward, when new properties match your exact search criteria. So anytime we do an update in Escambia and something matches this filter, let's go ahead and just add it to the list. In theory, you never have to search again, right? You build whatever your list is and now just add the new records to this list. So today we have 315. Tomorrow I log in, it could say 317 because 2 properties were automatically added without me having to do that. And if you scroll to the very far right, we're going to show you the date it was added. So today it's the 23rd. So all these properties were added today, but if any were added tomorrow, we would say 2 or 3 that say 124, right? So this is brilliant. Going forward, we can now add properties to those lists that meet your criteria or add it to another list. This is very popular right now. What people are doing with add to another list is before they automate it, they'll go over here and they'll create a blank one, this plus sign right here. And what they'll do is they'll call it Justin's senior list, and they'll call it, let's say, February. Hope you guys are getting what I'm about to do right now.
Yeah.
So what they'll do is they'll create a blank list and say, okay, this senior list that we created, I want you to automate it, but all the new records, put it in my February list. So while me and Justin are working on these 315 properties for the month of January, come February 1st, our February list will have new records waiting for us to start working on. So we automatically segregated or partition our new marketing list, right? So that's the add to another list. And the last but popular option is I'll do it myself. And what we'll do is we'll give you a green box here at the top, and you can either look at them and stare at them until your face turns blue. You can delete them, you can ignore them, really up to you. But that's not why we created List Automator. Now, trust me, to be able to never search again and us add records for you automatically is time saving. And as they say, time is money, but that's not why we created it. Our sole purpose of List Automator was to see how we can save you money. And when we discovered that churn and burn behavior, we decided to go after that impossible task, and we figured it out. The impossible task is to keep running your filters every single second. And when new properties change from your exact search criteria, So if any of these 315 properties no longer meet that senior owner filter, then get them out of this list automatically. Just delete them or move it to another list. And again, what people are doing here, I think is clever, is they'll create a blank list, Justin Senior owners list or owners follow-up lists. So instead of just deleting it normally, if any of these properties no longer match this criteria, what I like you to do is I'd like you, well, first off, I want the new records to go into the February list. But any old records, so any of these 315 properties that don't meet my criteria anymore, instead of deleting them, move them into my follow-up list. So that way I can do one more follow-up with them before I completely delete them. So List Automator allowed me to take this one marketing list and segregate new records into a February list and old records into a follow-up list, meaning that main list is always up to date every single day, right? And so that's what List Automator is. And the very last option for the property changes is I'll do it myself. So here's what it does. You build a list with certain filters, and then you automate the things that are coming in and the things that are coming out. And when you save it, we will take your marketing list and dump it into the automated list area. So right now, Justin's senior owners list is being monitored from on a daily basis going forward. Now, right now, there should not be any changes. We literally just created this list a few moments ago. But as you can see, I have more than one list in here. So let's click on my Dallas landlord list of 835 people. This is what List Automator does. I have the rules set to I'll do it myself. So I created this list of 835 properties on August 29th of 2020. We're about 5 months ago, right? In that 5-month time frame, the filters that I have here, there have been 85 properties that have hit our system since then that I have not added to this list. So I'm being told, hey, you have some new records that meet this elaborate search criteria. So I never have to do the search again. So what I can do now is take these 85 records and add them to a new marketing list or delete them, right? So I can say, okay, well, let's call this my Dallas landlord list, landlords 2021. And then delete them from that list there. So again, I didn't have to go back to the search page and type in Dallas and all these filters. Oh, sorry. So just add it up. We got to just add them there. So I didn't just delete or gone and do the search. I just said, oh, here's the list that's being automated. Oh, looks like my save limit is capped out. So I'm not able to save it to a list. I apologize. But what's going to happen is now I have the 85 that meet this criteria, but that's not the reason we created. It's this. Since you created the 835 properties in August of last year, there have been 146 of them inside of there that don't meet this criteria anymore. Now, here's the thing. If we didn't tell you about the removals and you knew this list was created in August, what do you think our instinct is knowing that this list is 5 months old now? Delete it, right? We'd be like, hey, we don't need it. It's 5 months old, but not anymore. Now what I do is I just delete the 146 and what's remaining still holds true to that criteria. So you would have dumped this 800 list when there's still 689 properties till this very moment that meet that criteria. And so when you would go back to the source and buy that list again, and you get, let's say 900 results, of your 900 results, 689 of them are still the ones that you were working with. How
wasteful. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And so every list that's being monitored is now telling you what needs to be added and what needs to be removed. But that's the money saver, is the removals. That's the most important part. And let's just, again, look at the math here. If I'm being told 746 properties right this very moment need to be removed, that's, even if I get it at 10 cents, the skip tracing, that's $74 I just saved off just skip tracing marketing, right? If it was postcards, 44 cents. That's 328 cents of unnecessary postcards I would have sent if I didn't know I needed to remove them. This is why List Automator has become very revolutionary, because now you build a list and you automate it and you never have to search that filter again because we're adding the records for you.
Yeah.
And you don't have to worry about that list having records that don't match your criteria because we removed them for you. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is the list stacking that Justin was mentioning, the other version of it. The other version of list stacking is by clicking on a list of yours, like my imported list or Justin's list that we clicked on, and going to the very far right and looking at this column that says marketing lists. This column will show you if any of your addresses
Boom.
are in more than one marketing list. And
There
if
it
you click
is.
on that number, you can see all the property or the marketing list that property is in. So this property is in my lien list and that I created in October, and it's also in my lien list that I had created in January a few days ago. So if I wanted to look at a list that I've saved and say, hey, how many properties in this list are in 3 marketing lists? Here they are. Here are the properties that are in more than one marketing list, AKA list stacking, right? This is the other version of list stacking. The first version is creating a list with multiple list stacking. And then this version of list stacking is, hey, how many marketing lists is Mary Louise Drive in? Oh, Mary Louise Drive is in these 3 categories, right? So now that I know there are how many, now that I know there are these properties, a total of 11 properties in more than one marketing list, well, maybe I should check off these properties and call it and build a new list with it. I'll call it the multiple marketing list leads.
Okay.
And then delete them from this list or whatever list. So what I was able to do is look at a marketing list and say, okay, how many properties are in here that are also in multiple lists? Take those properties and create a new list with them. Because I think if you were to ask me, because these 11 properties are in more than one category, there are probably people that you need to speak to first before you speak to that person that's only in one category, right?
Yeah.
You guys, can you, Justin, can you kill some time for me? I have someone banging on my door. Can I?
Yeah.
Go? Okay, 1 second.
Yeah. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, man, what an incredible value we are getting out of him today.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. You know, he basically has created an entire marketing plan for us today. If you picked it up, if you caught it, those filters, man, that blows my mind. I could sit here and watch him play with them filters and tell me how cool they are all day. You know,
Now, do they?
it's the simple stuff like the older people that live in a 2-story home. Like, why didn't I ever think of that? Like, you know, that's so like these are some incredible ideas. The 3-bedroom 1-bath idea.
I like that.
Huge idea. Guys, I used to go around looking for 3 bedrooms, 1 baths in Kansas City. I don't know why I quit doing that, but 3 bedrooms, 1 baths, because here and in a lot of markets, if you can contract a 3-bedroom, 1 bath, sometimes you don't have to get it at 50 cents on the dollar. Sometimes if you just get it at an okay discount, it still works out, because in some markets, in some neighborhoods, if you add a second bathroom, sometimes that changes the after repair value by $100,000, $150,000.
Yep,
That's like my parents' house.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, you know,
because of the square footage.
Exactly. So I was thinking on that 3-bedroom, 1-bath strategy, it might be smart to put a minimum square foot, because you don't want to talk to the guy that's got 850 square feet. There's not enough room to add a second bath.
Right.
But if he's got
Like
1,200 square feet,
yeah.
you know, I don't know, guys. I mean, are you getting hungry? I mean, Burton
I'm playing with it today.
That's it.
All day.
Yeah.
I just hear the
I'm
conversation.
gonna be on
in the
for a while
background.
today.
The goal has been achieved as long as I got your mind thinking about data. But job done today for me. But guys, that's the list automation part. Again, it is an add-on. It's not something that comes with PropStream. I'll be the first to say I don't believe it's for everybody, but if you do take the time to learn it, you can see how very lucrative it can be, especially to know, especially when you're dealing with thousands to know what needs to be removed because it's now on market or it just sold to a different investor. That to me is the reason, again, why we saved it. We're all about trying to save you money, so just the removal part is important.
And if you want to suffocate your local market or whatever they say, man, this is how you get it done. And I mean, you might not have all this set up the way you want it in the next 2 hours, but over the next little bit in your business, you can know your market like nobody really, I think, with this tool.
Absolutely. And that's it. So that's our list automation and the data part. Again, guys, we have the details. So if any of these senior owners were to call us, remember, you can click on them and you can look at the data. You can see the mortgage information that they have, their transaction history, any other properties that they have tied to their name, tax information, any encumbrances, but inevitably it all leads to, in my book, it all comes to an end, after talking to them about how old their property is and, they just bought it or whatever the case is. This is the last part, is where we can show you the comparables, all the properties that sold on public record, all the properties that sold through the MLS or used both public records and MLS. And something very, very new is flipped comps. So our team got really clever and said, hey, you know what if we could find the flippers that flip the property around that subject property? And here's why we love this list. What this list does is it shows you when they bought it, how much they bought it for, and then when they sold it and what they sold it for. So you can see here, someone bought a property in January for $200K, and then they sold it in March 26th, literally 2 months later, for $230 and walked away with a $30,000 profit.
That's just a paint job.
And then you have someone here, bought it in 2018 for $175, and a year and a half later, they sold it for $225. Oh, sorry. Just clicked on the wrong list. And so the reason why I personally like that category, here, let me, sorry. Looks like I'm lagging a little bit here. Pardon, I'm lagging just a little bit. But the reason I personally like that is for many reasons. A, we get to see their buying power, right? If I know that so-and-so is willing to buy a property at $200,000, well, as long as I don't lock up the property over $200,000, that person be willing to buy for me, right? In the same neighborhood with the same characteristics. So we get to see their buying power, and then we get to see how fast they're reacting to the flip. Right. Now, the cool thing about this search is that we can control the flip length. We can say, you know what? I don't want people spending more than a year on these properties. I want the flippers doing 3 to 6 months. And applying that filter will help you find that result. And in this case, we don't have anybody that did that in 3 to 6 months. So about 3 to 9 months. And we would be able to see that. Nobody did in 3 months. About that one property was 2 months. That's why. Yeah, see, that was a 2-month flip. But that's the reason why I like it. You get to see what they bought it for. Let me see if I can find more results here. Okay, I did. So yeah, again, what they bought it for, here's a big one. This one bought it on June 8th, 2018 for $345, and then sold it a year and a half later for $409. They made a $64,000 property. So I get to know what they're willing to buy, what their ARV is, because they're doing the rehab for me, right? And we get the photos. That's what I also like about it. We get to see the type of rehabber that we're working with.
Wow. Yeah, that's cool.
Okay. So you can see what they've done in that year and a half to flip that property. So this is our flip comps report. The difference between comparables is these are just properties that sold, and flip comps are properties that bought and then sold within 2 years or less. And this is just, again, the other segment of PropStream, which is the second part. My main focus today was lead generation, just to spark some ideas, spark the energy in there. Again, whether you're using PropStream or not, I hope you can apply what I just showed you guys in any other platform out there. And
if you're not using PropStream, check the description of this video on YouTube and get your 7-day free trial on.
Hey, Burton.
Yes, sir.
Could you cover the tax information? So if you're looking at to make sure that their taxes are paid.
Well, we won't be able to know if their taxes are not paid or not, but the tax information tab will show you the tax.
Like it's green and like I see it's green and red. That's what I want.
Yeah. Yeah. So you'll be able to see what the year by year changes are over time. So you can see that their property taxes. Whoa. Oh, they're lucky. They took a dip.
What happened there?
Where it looks like they're going in a. It looks like they're staggering around 581, but it looks like it was high 2017 and it went down. and then it's now at 576, and looks like it's climbing back up.
I think my property taxes went up about 50% where I live. So
Oh,
when you say
So,
they're
so
lucky,
this
yeah.
right here, doesn't
Well,
show
Gil-
you that they paid the taxes that they're current.
no, it does not. Yeah, we won't know if they're current or not current in this field. Yeah, the only way, because we don't collect the only two notices we know if they haven't paid it or not would be if they are in one of our two categories. So if we were to search a Scamia, to know that they're not paying their taxes would mean that they're either in a lien situation, and we can go here and specify tax lien. So these are the
Okay.
individuals that didn't pay their property taxes, their state taxes, or federal taxes.
Yeah.
So just choose lien and then lien filter tax lien. And then what you can do too, Jerry, is if you're looking for a specific lien, what I do is I hit this little tab right here. You see this?
Yes.
If you click on that, you get spreadsheet view, and then you can see all sorts of characteristics. So you could say, okay, in Escambia, Florida, I have a lot of tax liens. What zip code had the most liens in it? And you can kind of use that. So the spreadsheet view is just helping you isolate what you like. That's one avenue. The other avenue is tax delinquency. So our tax delinquency is right over here. Now, this is a list of properties that failed their tax payments as of this year so far. So right now we have 6 properties that didn't pay their tax payments on schedule. And so those are the two avenues in which someone we know didn't pay their taxes. The tax delinquency means they've just missed their payment, but they don't have a lien yet. While the tax lien section is they definitely have a lien already. And so the next step would be pre-foreclosure. But that tax tab that we were looking at, it doesn't unfortunately say whether they've paid it or not. So we don't know. Okay. But great question, Jerry.
We have a couple other questions here in the Zoom room chat as well. If you want, if you can scroll through there, Burton, and if you got time, man, I don't want to.
What is the name of that book again? Oh, okay. Well, we went that over, but those that came late, the book I was referring to is this right here. The book on investing in real estate with no and low money down. It's a Bigger Pockets book by Brandon Turner. He's really great, very, very smart man. I recommend that. It exposes you to most of the real estate strategies out there, kind of sheds light on them so you know which ones are best suitable for you. It doesn't tell you actually how to do them. So it's not a blueprint book. It's just, hey, these are the strategies that are in the creative seller world. These are the strategies in the wholesaling world and so forth. So just breaks it all down for you, sheds light. So if you've heard about wholesaling, you don't know what it is, you heard about this, heard about that, that book is definitely the best source I can agree to at least shed some light on all that stuff. And again, I personally did that because in my industry, data, we're dealing with all sorts of investors. So even this book being very, very comprehensive in terms of all the real estate strategy, unfortunately isn't comprehensive for our industry because we deal with insurance companies, we deal with lenders, and I don't even know their strategies. So this did help me understand the real estate strategies, but I still have to do my own personal education and personal learning on all these other stuff. So great question there. Is there specifically a tax lien filter? I didn't see it under lien. Ryan, there is. We just showed it with Jerry. That's going into the filter.
Sure.
And you can go into our lien section here and specify any lien that you'd like. So if you wanted to see child support liens, there you go. If you wanted to see people renting solar equipment, there you go. Tax liens, this would be your category there. Okay. So great question there. Oh, you know what? I didn't even share my screen. Ryan, I'm sorry. What I was referring to is right over here. You would go into the lien bankruptcy. I'm sorry. Yeah. The lien bankruptcy divorce status, and it would be there. Tax lien. Okay. And if you wanted to see a child support lien or something like that, you can do that as well. But this is your filter here. Lien bankruptcy divorce status filter, specific lien type. Okay. So hopefully that answers your question there.
The utility lien, is that like water?
Yeah, it's like unpaged sewage, hazardous material out front, and sometimes it's a water. It depends on the county. Sometimes the water isn't covered with sometimes the water could be HOA. So it depends. Every county is different. But utility, I would say about 80% of the times it's that. Yeah, it's water, electrical, unpaged sewage, hazardous material out front of your house and stuff like that.
And I've got a question about the platform.
Sure, Anthony, what's up?
The features that you showed us today are like the list automator. Is that a standard feature for the $97 a month package?
The list automator is an add-on. So everything but the automation part is provided to you. So the lead generation, the comping, the tax information, that's all part of the standard. And with the standard $97 a month, you're going to get 10,000 leads as well. But that list automator, it starts at $27 a month extra. But as I say, look, I'm not going to say it's going to save you money, because I've seen people in our company or use our product and they bought List Automator and they're not using it for automation. They're using List Automator for our import feature. Remember how I said earlier, one of the other features with List Automator is to import into PropStream and get our data. So there are people that are using List Automator just for the import part. And so it scratches my head. I mean, that's brilliant. You're getting our data, but the automation is the most important part. So it is an add-on, but if you use it right, Anthony, I guarantee you, I mean, I don't want to guarantee anything, because if you don't use it right, I can't do anything, but I promise you, if you use it right, it should save you money, as you saw with the
All right,
removal
Anthony.
process.
Oh, regarding the import function.
Yeah.
So are you referring to maybe you're exporting a CSV list from Redfin?
Yeah,
And-
actually any
okay.
list. You would, the way it would work is you first have to have List Automator, and then you would go into My Properties right over here. And I'm lagging just a little bit. Hold on one second. I apologize, guys. My son is doing his Zoom tutoring right now, so he's probably pulling bandwidth right now. So, all right. So in My Properties, the button that you'll be seeing, once you get List Automator, if you don't have List Automator, it'll be grayed out, but it's this Import List button here, Anthony.
Okay.
What you'll do is you'll click on it. Now, the one thing to note is that it counts against your download limit. So if we give you 10,000 records a month to save, and you import 10,000 records to get our data, you just exhausted your month, okay? So it's the Import List button. You click on it, and it's 3 simple steps. Download our template. So I'll just click on that. And this is our template. And all we need from you is just the address, the unit number, city, state, and zip code. That's it. We don't need the owner's name. We don't need anything else. Just that information. Now, if you don't have that, let's say you're working with vacant land, county, FIPS, and APN number is all we need at that point. But I've done an example for you guys. So here, this is my driving for dollars list here. So hang on a second here. Let me get my screen over to you. So this is my driving for dollars list. So looks just like that. So address, unit, city, state, and zip. No data. So nothing on like El Canto Avenue, nothing there. But I'll take that list, right, which I've already done, part 1 and 2, download the template, put it on the template, which is part 2. Part 3 is choose file. And I'll click on the driving for dollars list, and I can name it anything. So we'll call it Anthony's imported list. And then we'll go ahead and hit save. And at this point, you're taking this Redfin list, this list source list, this whatever list from a different provider, and now importing it, get our data on top of it. Now, the reason why this has become very, very, very popular is because of that very reason. If another provider, let's say I have a divorce attorney friend, and he can give me divorce records before anybody else can. The problem is he doesn't have mortgage data or MLS data or vacant data or anything like. He just gives me a list of 200 properties every month. I can take those 200 properties, put it on the Excel sheet, import it into a list like we did with Anthony's imported list. And when we close it, Anthony's imported list looks now like this.
Wow.
We went from
Great.
no data on Penny Lane, for example, to now I can search Penny and there's Penny Lane. I now know 2 owns the property. I can see the other 4 properties that he owns. I can see the mortgage information.
What he
I
had
can
for
run
breakfast this morning and everything.
Pretty much, right?
Yeah.
So this feature is very powerful because it can give you our data that we didn't know about. So if this was my best friend's divorce list, when I imported it, not only do I have all of the data, but here at the top, it's cleaning it up for me. It's saying, hey, 9 of the imported properties are on market. Okay, well, let's delete them. I don't want those guys, right? 2 of them have just sold. Okay, well, let's delete those. I don't want that. So we started with 256, but now we're marketing to 247 because we got rid of the ones on market, got rid of the ones that had just sold recently.
Yeah.
And another important aspect about List Automator is this right here. I know for a fact you have one of these or on your
Flash
desktop
drive
full of old documents. This is the time to import it and update that 4-year-old high equity list.
Oh my God. I never thought of that. I got like thousands.
Say
This
it.
is a perfect opportunity. So the cool thing with List
I believe you.
Automator too is again we're here to help. Now my account has List Automator, so let me log on to my other account. But the cool thing about List Automator is, although it is an add-on, look, we're going to give you a 2-week trial on it. So go to settings, go to add-on services, and we're going to give you a 2-week trial on it. So here's my advice to you. Even if you do not keep it, right? Take the opportunity in the 2 weeks to import any old list that you have and get it updated. Even if that's what you do. I mean, I'll be happy that you do that, right? So start your free trial. It's 2 weeks.
Yeah, right now.
Import your old list, get it updated, and then export it back on out of there. And when you start your free trial, also go into your My Properties and look for any old list that you have. Let me go back to my other account really quick to show you what I mean. But once you start your trial, make sure you pull out your old list and import it, get it updated, and go into your My Properties and look for anything that's old. Any My Property list that you have that's old and that's been sitting there for a while. So like my senior
What's
owners
the cost on that?
just $27 extra a month, right? But again, you get the 2-week trial period. So even if you don't keep it, this is what I want you to do. Get that 2-week trial period, import your list and get our data, and then export it on out, right? Do what we did, get Anthony's list, take off those on market ones, delete the just sold ones, and then export it on out. Take it out of our system, right? Let us update it for you and then take it on out, right? Call it a day, right? So let's export those 245 with all of our data now, okay? So that's one reason I would tell you to tie the 2 weeks. Get your old data in here and get it updated. The second is I want you to go through your marketing list, go through every single one of them. And when you go through them, the first thing I want you to do is scroll to the far right, right? There's a scroll bar at the bottom, but go to the far right and look for anything that's old, like this list right here. I created it on December 15th, a month ago, right? So even if you just sign up with List Automator today, look for an old list that you have and automate it. I'll do it myself, and automate it, right? So start your trial, upload your old list, get our data, export it, then go through your old marketing lists and automate it like I just did right now, because it's going to update your old list and say, okay, there's 13 that need to be removed today.
There you go.
Delete that, right?
Clean
So
up
clean
your
up your
old
old
list.
mark list,
Yeah.
and then send it right back. So to send it back, click on your lists once more, and then go to automate and put it back to ignore. And what that does is it sends this list back, and then do the next list and the next list and the next list. And then on Monday, call us and say, hey, I'd like to stop my trial for List Automator. So if you're just going to use it for the 2-week trial period, which I implore you to do, take advantage of that 2 weeks by importing your old list and getting our data as of today and going through these old lists like I just did with my senior owners list, automate it, delete the old records, and then bring it back. So now that you know, okay, as of right now, there's 87 instead of 100 that I need to work with. Okay. So that's
Great.
my
That's
best
incredible.
advice with the List Automator. Thank you, Anthony, for
Thank
asking
you.
that.
Thank you.
Carl,
Now, so there are 10,000 records
Hey, Burton, did
imported
you,
or exported a month, but
Correct.
How
10,000
many-
limits. Go ahead, Anthony. I'm sorry.
so how many records can we maintain in the system? Is there a limit to that?
There is a limit with the List Automator. We tiered it for you. So with the $27 starting point, you're looking at $27 for 2,000 records. And then it goes higher. I think the next one is $47. And I think that's the one that should be suitable. But we're going to show you here in add-on services. It's right here, monitored properties. We can, in the automation area, we can monitor 2,000 records. Now, when I say
Wow.
2,000 records, that means that only 2,000 records can be in that automation area, but you can put something in there and then take it out. So if I put a list of 2,000 in there, I can't add any more automation. But if I take that list out, then I can put another 2,000 in there, if that makes sense, right?
Sure.
So you can work with the 2,000. You just need to move in and out quite a bit. Or if that's too much work, you can say, you know what, just monitor 50,000 addresses at a given moment. And so we can put 10, 15, or one list of 50,000 records in that area and monitor those 50,000 records collectively. That's $47. That's what most users are using. But we do have like our lenders and our contractors and our insurance companies that have, again, huge call centers. So they have
Sure.
thousands of lists, and they're
Right.
monitoring like 1.2 million records. So that way, every morning,
Yeah.
the floor manager can say, okay, everybody's working on these 200 leads instead of 500 leads.
Right.
It helps clean up their records.
That'd
so
be like if
this
I
is the
wanted to
area.
monitor, automate everybody in my town.
That's, you know, it's so true. And I thought no one would ever reach this. And in February, I was working with a lender firm, and they had like 60 call center reps, and they were using List Automator. I'm like, oh, wow. And
Yeah.
that you should seen their list. The gentleman had 5,000 marketing lists being automated. And what he would do is, obviously every morning he would click on one, delete all the old records, and then export it, and then upload it to their dialer, and then all the agents would now have their new leads to call for the day. So he was like, look, I'm going to be frank with you, Burton. Your List Automator has saved our company $250,000 in marketing every 2 months. So, I mean, they were doing millions of records. And to know that, hey, today your agents don't need to call 500 phone calls or 500 numbers because they need to be removed. That not only saved the employees time, it saved them payroll. It saved them, obviously, marketing budget as well. So this thing could be very lucrative. It's just how you utilize it effectively. So
Yeah.
I'll leave that with you guys.
It's incredible.
Hey, Burton, did you go over Driving for Dollar app? I got on late. I don't know if you did or not.
No, I did not do it. And Jerry, unfortunately, you know what? I don't have the time because I only blocked out about an hour or 2 hours, and I'm kind of near that mark. I have to make lunch for my kid and have other engagements. But let me do this.
Dude, you have to come back because
Jerry. No, hey, I'm definitely down to come back. Jerry, do you have Facebook by chance?
I love Justin. All right.
Yes.
Okay, here's what I would recommend you do. If you have Facebook, go to our Facebook group. We have a very exclusive Facebook group. Actually, Justin's in this picture, in here, by the way. But in our Facebook group, it's called PropStream User Community. So search in the search box, PropStream User Community.
Okay.
Now, the only caveat to this is that you do have to be a member, because when you join, we're going to ask you for your email address to verify that you are an email. But once you join, go into the media tab. So this is what the homepage looks like. Look for this guy right here, the media tab. And that's where you're going to find our videos. Now, in the media tab, we have photos, and hey guys, look who we have here.
Oh, there he is.
And he said his thank you to a very kind gentleman. But in the media tab, not only do you have our photos, but the videos. Videos is where you want to go. And we have one right here. It's the first one, the mobile app. So you click on that, and we just did a little nice intro, but I go through the entire app for you.
Okay.
All right. So sorry, I don't have the time, but you can see it's about a 40-minute long presentation. So go to PropStream User Community, find the media tab, and then go to videos, and then do the mobile session breakout video. Before you go to videos, go to Justin's photo and like it too. All right. But that's how to get to the videos, or any of our other videos as well.
Put some dirty comments down there and everything.
Burton, thank you for taking time out of your Saturday for our ragtag group.
No, don't even worry about it. Thank you for giving me your time. You know, I'm a firm believer that what you put out there comes back. And look, the reason I personally do this is like, I'm a firm believer. This year's a big year for homeowners that are in a dire situation. Yes. And I'm looking at 17 people right now that are problem solvers. And I'm a firm believer that if you implement what you're doing, you're going to save people's lives. We all know these banks don't care about people that are in foreclosure and stuff like that. So I hope what I taught you today can help a homeowner or two out there. And at the end of the day, I'll be happy that I've done my job there. And if I could be just that ripple that causes that tsunami of help, then I'm all for it. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Been incredible, Burton. It's been awesome, man. I cannot even, words don't even express. Every time you come on, man, it's unbelievable information.
Thank you, man. And we have more to come. I mean, we have some new data that we just bought. We're just uniforming it. Every time we buy data, they don't put it in our format. It sucks. So we have to actually hire a team. Our developers have to put it in certain lines, so that way when we upload it. But we have new data coming in. We have new enhancement on our mobile app. We have some major changes coming in the second to third quarter. I can't get into details, but just know that we're not stopping. We're definitely not stopping. And if you guys need any help, weekly webinars, Facebook page, customer support line, or call Justin and he could get me on here every other week if we need to.
He could
Now, do you do
The mobile app is free, right?
That it is, Jerry. Yes, it is at no additional cost. Rosalind, what was that? I'm sorry.
I said, do you do one-on-one coaching for just like for someone like me learning these applications? I'm good with apps.
No, not yet. I'd like
yet?
to say we're working on it. The team is not big enough yet.
Okay.
We're gonna try to create like a connoisseur kind of service
Right,
where we
that's
can do
what
that. Be frank with you, Rosalind. I personally don't want to, only
hear you.
because
You don't have to.
the reality is that it will be probably a paid service, and I'm not about charging anybody. So what I've done for now, because I knew that people have asked me, hey, Burton, can you do a one-on-one with me? I don't. And so I'm all about helping. So I want to meet everybody in the middle. So what I've done is if you go to PropStream.com, go to resources and click on webinars and events. And every week on a Tuesday, I do a complete overview of PropStream. I take 2 hours to show everybody what we do, like what we did today, but everything, go through every tool, every functionality. And then at the very end of it, I do the Q&A. So that's Tuesday every week at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So come join me. And then every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I do it.
Now, what time is that? Because Justin has his meetings and stuff.
So you could attend my Tuesday and Wednesday VIP session, and then immediately after go right to Facebook. Is that where it is? Or
just go to PropStream.com. Yeah, just come to PropStream.com, resources, webinar, and then just click on the registration link. But Tuesdays are our overview every Tuesday. So if you can't make it this next week, go the next week. I knock on wood, I haven't stopped for like the last 2 years. I'm literally on here every Tuesday. Yeah. And then every Wednesday, I do what we call a breakout session where we focus solely on List Automator, or we focus solely on the mobile app, or just running comps, or the filtering and marketing, and any other features as well. My goal is I want to give everybody the one-on-one time, but because we have thousands of users, I have to address it on a massive scale. Until we can build a team, then Rosalind, we definitely can start doing the one-on-one. I'm hoping that I will have some clones of me, and hopefully by the third quarter, so we can start taking care of those higher situations. But I hope that, unfortunately, since we aren't prepared for you, that come third quarter, Rosalind, you probably don't even need any of that help. That you're probably better at me at doing this than I am. So,
Burton, I have a quick question.
Hey,
I was at the
Rick?
app I was on the PropStream user community on Facebook, but I see announcement, watch party, photos, events, files, album, and topics.
Oh, okay. You're on the smartphone right now, correct?
Right.
Okay, yeah. So in the smartphone, Facebook is weird. It's actually under the Photos tab. So go in the Photos area and scroll, and you'll see you'll see that black header.
Yes.
Here, let me
I
do
see
this.
Justin's photo.
There you go. Make sure you like that one.
Print it out, throw darts at it and stuff.
But yeah, it will be under here. Let me see if I can find it on my phone here. Let me.
Yeah, I see the mobile app video.
There you go. Okay, yeah. So it will be in there. So yeah, that's the area. I don't know why they don't have their own video tab. That smartphone format is weird, but on the desktop, media video, on the mobile phone, it's under Photos.
Perfect. Thank you.
Burton, just real quick, why do you guys require that someone register for the training webinars every week rather than just live broadcasting open forum type? Not like everybody come on, but like publicly open.
It's a good question. We're probably afraid of just Facebook not working properly, and B, the other reason we don't do a live broadcast is because we do the recording. We do a Zoom recording, so I use Zoom for my recording. I see. But that's a good bring up. Maybe I should probably speak to the team about broadcasting it on our community page. I
just thought, since my VIP coaching Q&A stuff happens every day at 10 a.m. Pacific time, and then it runs for about an hour and a half. It'd be cool if I just broadcasted you guys right on the tail end of me.
You write this
Hey,
down?
Burton, do you have replays? Do you have
Yeah.
replays on the Zoom
I do on my Zoom. I don't
on
because
Tuesday and Wednesday?
Yes, that I do. Those are on the Facebook page. Yeah, those will go on our Facebook media page. So those overviews and breakout sessions are on there.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just grab the feed from some. You know, if you guys give me the thumbs up on that, maybe I'll just grab the feed from wherever it's at and just throw it out there on my channel for my people to be able to learn and grow.
Yeah,
too.
no, I have to see if we can do that. I think the only stipulation is that because it's a private Facebook group, I don't know if you'll be able to share anything I'm broadcasting into the Facebook group over to your group. So let me talk to the team to see if I can maybe broadcast it on our regular PropStream Facebook page.
You'd be amazed at what I could steal, Burton.
That's why we love you. We love you.
Justin's the hardest hustler in the world, man. I love this guy. But yeah, let me bring that up. Let me bring that up.
Yeah, no problem. Just holler at me if it works out. But that'd be great because you know they get a lot of you know, theory and how to do a lease option strategy or an ugly house strategy or something in my VIP, and then a lot of folks in the VIP need that extra PropStream, and man, that's the place to get it, beyond. So
absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
so I'm loving it. Any last thing before we let him go? He's got to get out of here, guys. Anything else?
No, one I saw Rosalind ask. Oh, you guys are very welcome, Carl. Thank you so much for that. Rosalind, she did ask, for beginners, what would be the best way to start your market? Very common question. So here's a little trick I would recommend. When you're in PropStream, use the cash buyers list to help you out. So here's a little trick that I go about. So reverse engineer our data. So do this. Let's say I'm in Escambia, Florida. Let's say I'm new and I'm wondering, okay, where do I focus my lead generation on? So first, know what type of properties you're going to want to deal with, right? So go into the filter, and let's say I'm going to deal with single family properties only, right? And no more than 4 bedrooms. So just put your characteristics. But what I want you to do then is use the cash buyers transaction. You know, they say follow the money. I mean it. Follow the money in this one, okay? So put your property characteristics, use cash transactions, and then go to ownership info and put a time frame. Because if you don't, we're going to show you cash buyers from December all the way till 2000, right? I don't know if this guy's still investing or not. So what we want to do is kind of stay away from that. So what I'm going to do is I'm looking for Escambia cash buyers buying single family properties that are 4 bedrooms or fewer. And I need the buyers to be in the last maybe 6 months. So start from July 1st or 90 days. Yeah, someone said 90 days. So let's do that. Let's say the 90 days starting November 1st. Okay, so now that I have these 75, Rosalind, this is what I want you to do. Click on this button right here.
Yes.
And then you can either break it up by city. So now you want to look for the city that has the most cash transactions. So Pensacola seems to be the winner of the bunch, right?
Okay.
And then if you want to break it down even more, you can break it down by zip code. Show me the zip code that had the most cash transactions. So if Pensacola had, 32503 or 32504 as the most transaction, and that looks like to be the one with the most transactions, then all you have to do now is clear your search, and maybe you focus directly at 32504 now.
All right. Thank you.
So follow the money, and then once you see the most transactions in that certain,
I'm following the money.
That's probably where you want to focus your lean search and your vacant searching and all that. So definitely use this tab right here to help you, and I use that with the cash buyers tab. So great question, great way to start to know any market, right? If all of a sudden Justin wanted to go to Orange County, California, where I'm at, and he wanted to know what best zip codes to focus on, he would do the same thing. Go to the filter, look for the, let's say, condominiums that he wants to deal with, right? And then cash buyers, and then he would put a time frame. Cash buyers in the last, someone mentioned 90 days, 6 months. And then once he has those, tab it up, and then he can break it down by city. And now he can say, okay, well, you need to get the condominiums in Aliso Viejo, California. And this is where most of the cash buyers are at. So that's a great question. Use the cash buyers to help you pinpoint what areas you need to focus on. Because the last thing you want to do is lock up a contract and there's no buyers in that area. It's going to be hard to let go of that property. So.
Right. I got an incredible deal.
Yeah, exactly. There's no buyers in like a 10-mile radius. Like, okay. But great question. And guys, I think that's pretty much it. So if
Love
you
you,
guys need to
dude.
get a hold, dude, Justin, love you too,
Thank you,
man.
man.
You've been amazing since
You're
day
awesome.
one. You're my A1 since day one, man. So
Hey,
if
thanks,
you
dude.
guys need to get a hold of me, find me on Facebook, Instagram, or send me an email, support@propstream.com, attention Burton, they'll get it over to me. Okay, but with that said, guys, make sure you guys are out there building problems and solving them. My name is Burton. I'll see you guys very soon.
Hey, man,
Justin,
we'll see you.
let's team up. Let's reschedule for that mobile app breakdown in the next week or two.
Oh yeah, dude. I will, man. Thank you, Burton. Love you, dude.
Later, guys. Love you guys.
I'll see everybody later. Y'all have a great rest of your weekend.
Enjoy.
Get busy out there, all right?
I know what I'm doing today.
Heck yeah. Absolutely. All right, guys. So go get PropStream if you don't have it. And there's a link in the description, or you can go to realestatewholesalersclub.com and get it. But check it out for sure. Whatever you do, stay safe and stay healthy. Love you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
All right.
We've had a great group.
Enjoy
here.
your weekend.
God bless you guys. Thanks. We'll see you all later.
Monday.
No more questions.